So this information will come out to you tomorrow. And then if you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat, and then hopefully Rachel can ask them to me because I can no longer see the chat, or if you just want to interrupt me, feel free. So summer sites and class camp hours. Let's see. So our first location is going to be at Open School East. This site is at about 165th and Southeast Stark. And our camps for grades 2 through 8 will be happening there, along with some other high school classes. We also have some sites in Lake Oswego. Oh, sorry, going to go back up to Open School. Hours of operation there are going to be 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's going to be the teaching day. Lake Oswego, we're going to have afternoon classes, and we will have classes at Oak Creek, River Grove. Those are for our elementary classes. And I got some new news that any 6 through 8 or high school classes may be happening at Lake Ridge Junior High. So planning in Lake Oswego is very fluid right now. So I will let you know the most current information when I know it. We're also going to be at Forest Grove at Tom McCall Upper Elementary School West. Operation hours there are going to be 8:30 to 11:30. If you're teaching there, and I talked to you about it already, you'll notice those hours are slightly different. They had to shift them a half hour earlier due to transportation needs. So anything that's updated will be on your dashboard as well. We're also going to be at Gladstone at John Wetton Elementary School, which, by the way, is within walking distance of Menahune Murph Shave Ice. So just a little tidbit of information for you all. We're going to have classes there that run from 8:30 to 11 a.m. and then also from 12 to 2:30 p.m. So if you're teaching at Gladstone, you're going to have different kids in the morning than you have in the afternoon. So don't be prepared for them to come back in the afternoon. There'll be a whole different set of kids. And Gladstone is our only site that's going to run Monday through Thursday. Everything else is Monday through Friday. And then we're asking that everybody please arrive 30 minutes early on that very first day of class to get your bearings at each site, check on supplies, and then find out about any updated policies and procedures. As you guys know, COVID guidelines can change pretty quickly, so I will try to keep you up to date the best that I can. Open School East is operating under the OHA statewide reopening guidance for youth programs. And then all our other sites are operating under Ready School Safe Learners guidance. So in reading both of those, they're essentially the same. But just to let you know, we're kind of operating under different guidance for some different sites. All right. I'm going to take a look at some things that will commonly happen at Gladstone, Lake Oswego, and Forest Grove. So at these locations, school staff at this site will be responsible for checking students in and out, and they'll be covering any lunch breaks that are happening there. So you guys do not have to do that. So that's kind of a good plus for those locations. However, if you are at Lake Oswego and you're teaching elementary, you will have to walk the kids out to the bus. Saturday Academy staff will be present on the first day of classes each week at this site, just to make sure everybody has what they need and is feeling confident about where they're supposed to be. So we will be there to support you. Each site will also have a contact person for instructors. So if you have a discipline issue, if you have a COVID issue, you will have a contact person, and I will make sure you have that person's information as well as my information to contact should anything come up. And then Gladstone and Forest Grove will have school staff in class for classes larger than 12 students. And then Lake Oswego classes will be capped at 12 students, and we will have camp assistants this summer. So there'll be a camp assistant available for this site. So there'll be a resource for you guys too. And then next, we're going to talk about some things that are specific to Open School East. So if you are not teaching there this summer, feel free to go check out the Blazer game. There's about 3 slides that are specific to Open School East. So to give you a little time frame, you can check the score. Daily schedules, and we're going to email all of this stuff out too. So again, don't feel like you need to memorize any of this information. So we'll make sure you have it before your class starts. So check-in is going to be 8:30 to 8:45. We'll have a staggered lunch between 11:30 and 1:30, and that's going to depend on how many classes we have, how many kids we have. So that's information I'll give you just prior to your class start. And then from 3:15 to 3:30, we check out. And then there'll be an extended flexible pickup, but this is monitored by the site supervisor and camp assistant. So this is not something that instructors will have to do. But I just wanted to let you know that it's happening. So like I said, camp assistants will be in each class to help you with check-in and check-out, help with lessons, student management, and COVID protocols. And then a site supervisor and camp assistants will be in charge of students during lunch and recess, which will allow all our instructors an hour break. So what I wanted to do next is I wanted to take a look at kind of the key things that are going to happen at Open School and tell you a little bit about what that looks like under COVID protocols. And so check-in, and this is going to be for grades 2 through 8. So this is going to be outside. We're all going to be masked. We're going to be social distanced at 6 feet. And instructors and camp assistants are going to be present, as well as SA staff and the site supervisor. There will be hand sanitizer available at each check-in station. The camp assistant is going to be in charge of student sign-in and health screenings, and students and families that don't pass health screenings will be asked to return home and follow COVID testing and quarantine protocols. You guys will be on hand there to greet and engage students. And if we get to the point where social distancing can't be met, you will take your kids upstairs to your class. Your assistant will continue to check in and then bring in the remaining students to class. And if somebody's super late, site supervisor or myself will check them in and bring them to you. And then if you happen to be teaching a high school class at Open School, and this is not specifically for Open School students, but for open enrollment, those check-in times are going to be 10 a.m. or 1 p.m., whatever we've agreed upon, and the site supervisor will check those students in. All right, what does lunch look like? So like I said, it's staggered lunch and recess breaks. It'll be an hour time so that you guys will have an hour lunch to eat and to prep. And the kids will be monitored at that time by camp assistants and the site supervisor. There'll be hand washing before and after eating. When students are eating, obviously they're going to be unmasked, so they need to be 6 feet apart. And I thought this also might be important in case you're going to run snacks in your classroom, so you're just kind of aware of the distancing for that. There's no sharing food, obviously, this summer. Lunch will most likely take place in the classroom. For Open School, it's going to depend on how many classes we're running, how many kids we have, and how much outside space we have. Mostly cohorts or classes are going to be moving as a group to the recess area, and camp assistants will be leading them in games and activities. And then once everybody returns to class, they're going to sanitize their hands again. And then checkout at Open School is going to happen between 3:15 and 3:30. And students will stay in the classroom with the instructor while camp assistants do an outside checkout. And camp assistants will communicate with instructors who is signed out, and you guys will talk via walkie-talkies, so you know who's going to be checked out and ready to leave. And then by 3:30, assistants will return to the classroom for the extended pickup hour, and instructors, you can leave for the day and go home and relax and have your icy drink or your margarita or whatever else is your choice. All right. So all sites under COVID protocols, these are some things we're going to have. These are kind of our big takeaways. So staff and students are going to be masked. At open school, we'll be keeping a 6-foot distance. Lake Oswego, Forest Grove, and Gladstone could follow the 3 feet social distancing rule that is allowed by the Ready School COVID guidelines. So that's kind of one of the reasons we want you to be early on Monday, so we can kind of go over those and just be aware COVID guidelines can change. They may change during the summer, and I will do my best to keep you guys updated if that should happen. Students will stay in their stable cohort class for the week, so you can't swap kids. Each room is going to have its own hand sanitizer, cleaning, and first aid supplies. Students will have their own class supplies. So, you know, we're going to do our very best to keep things separate. Should somebody touch somebody else's stuff, we do have the cleaning supplies available to wipe things down if we have some commonly touched surfaces. Another thing we'll need to do is remind students to cover their coughs and sneezes with a hand or tissue, even when they are masked, and then to wash their hands afterward. And then there'll be tissues and garbage cans available should that happen. And then should a student become ill or exhibit COVID symptoms, Open School has a quarantine room, and students will be monitored by the site supervisor until the student can be picked up. And other sites will have, their own quarantine spaces as well. So one thing this summer, I'm gonna need you to help me with this, is we're gonna have to give reminders to students like we would probably if we didn't have COVID going on. But this summer, everybody's bringing really their own trauma from COVID. And so it's going to be really important that we find common language to offer gentle reminders for students. So for instance, I'm not going to yell at Rachel because she can't keep her mask on. I might say to Rachel instead, let's keep everybody safe by wearing our masks properly. So I'm wondering, since we're all here together and I've been talking for a very long time, I want to give you guys a chance to participate as well. I'm wondering if you guys have other ideas for some common language we could use for gentle reminders for students. And I can't see everybody, so I guess feel free to unmute, or Rachel, you can probably still see everybody if you want to call on people if they raise a hand.
I can't see everybody, so go ahead and unmute.
I didn't want to interrupt anybody, but mine was a quick and easy one from old school, long time ago, and it's always focus on the behavior you want. So it's the statement of I see lots of students, or I see Johnny, Jimmy, Sally wearing their masks properly. I like the way your mask covers your nose, so I don't have to call attention to the student who doesn't have their mask on properly. I get to reinforce as much and as often. Oh, look, another 5 minutes later, I get to support them again and say, I'm really glad to see that everybody's wearing their mask properly. Stay positive.
Thanks, Dion.
I don't know if it's still a thing, but my little brother-in-law, for a long time, it was super hot for the middle school and high school kids to do the dab, which also puts your mouth into where you should be coughing anyways. So that could be a fun, gentle reminder.
It could be. And we could do some like cool dance breaks if we need to.
Indeed.
Thanks, Stuart.
I've actually been in the classroom since February, and the kids are actually really good. I've been in kindergarten through middle school, pretty regularly, and you just really need to just point at the mask if theirs is falling, and the kids also remind them. So
Thanks, Stephanie. That's a good perspective from somebody who's been in the classroom since COVID has happened. So
it's really been a lot easier than I anticipated. I was very nervous when I started I started working part-time as a middle school teacher. Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, but they've been great.
awesome. Thank you. Anybody else have any ideas to share? If you think of any, we can also share them later. We can come back.
You could also have just a little, because you'll have a camp assistant, so they'll also be able to kind of give that little point or hey, maybe, or whatever, you know. I'm guessing, and Stephanie, maybe you would know that the distancing thing might be the most difficult. And OHA.
Yeah, the younger they are, the harder it is to distance them. That's definitely harder than the mask. Yes.
And an Oregon Health Authority understands that we're going to do the best we can, and that kids are kids.
Yep.
So that's kind of the.
But they still, like, one of the schools I work at, they do this thing called zombie arms, like when they have to walk in a line. Zombie arms. Like, that's kind of cute.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny because I was just thinking about character walks and maybe coming up with a song or some kind of little, I love the dab because the kids love to do that anyway. But with middle school, I don't know, like something like YMCA, only have it represent, are your hands clean, your mask on? I mean, some kind of rap or something. I'm going to come up with something that is a fun reminder without it calling anybody out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The schools also have like distanced markings all throughout the hallways. And so it's not as difficult as you think. In the classroom, yes, it is hard to keep them away from each other, but as far as like walking around the school and stuff, they keep to the markings that the school has.
I thought of a question that I'd like to ask related to this, especially since several people mentioned marine biology and such. One of my classes plans on having a shark or fish dissection, and again, high school students is my background, and so I'm picturing everybody shoulder to shoulder looking over the fish, and we're doing incisions and whatever. So now I'm trying to process, if I have students 6 feet apart trying to look at a dissection or take turns doing the dissection, does somebody have some suggestions or ideas of how to best manage that?
Put it on a document camera, or like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'll work. Yes.
Gallery, I mean, in the arts, you do gallery walk where. Yeah, that sounds easier than probably it is, but.
And Dan, some things that other instructors have done, because it's just nicer too to have more students involved, if you do the initial cut and incision,
right,
and then you'll have different dissection trays, request them. We have trays, and so then you can put the heart or the liver and break up the organs for individual students to dig deeper. And kind of spread them out is something that's worked before.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you. I knew you guys would have good answers.
Let me know how it goes, because I have to do a dog shark dissection.
Yes,
too.
That's the one.
All right. Thank you guys for your suggestions. Anybody else?
Blazer's up by 1, if anybody cares.
Thanks, Karen. Just by 1?
Just by 1.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if that changes, maybe you guys won't want to watch the Blazer game and you'll be more interested in all this COVID stuff. So, no, I didn't think so. All right. Well, in the interest of time, if people don't have other suggestions right now, I'm going to continue unless somebody's like, no, I have something. All right, I'm going to continue. So everybody's favorite question is about the bathroom. So as we'll be at different sites, and like I said, guidelines and stuff are changing. First of all, we're going to ask what protocols students are used to at the specific sites. OHA suggests we go as a group when possible. I know it's hard for elementary school kids to go to the bathroom as a group, especially if there's just one bathroom. So if it's your assistant, you know, taking a couple kids at a time, or that kind of thing, it just kind of is going to depend how many bathrooms are available to us and that kind of thing. But we will definitely work our way around COVID protocols and bathroom breaks. Obviously, we'll still be sanitizing hands when leaving the classroom, and class assistants will be there, as well as custodial staff in the schools, to wipe down commonly touched surfaces. And then everybody's sanitizing their hands upon return. So we're gonna be going through a lot of hand sanitizer this summer.
So to be clear, everyone needs to wash their hands and use sanitizer?
If they are using the bathroom, they should be washing their hands.
Right, no, I know, but
yeah,
even if you wash your hands, you still have to use the sanitizer.
I feel like every time you leave and come back to your classroom, you need to sanitize your hands.
Soap is
That's a
also
good
just as effective though. So I think, is that what you're getting at, Ellen?
Yeah.
I don't think our guidelines or the OHA isn't saying you have to do both. One or the other is effective, but we just sanitize often, my understanding.
So I cannot guarantee you that a third grader is going to wash their hands after they go to the bathroom. I would like to think they would, but I'm not sure. So if we could just have them sanitize their hands when they come back in.
I don't think you can guarantee a middle schooler doing that.
Well, that's
either.
true. That's true. So like I said, lots of hand sanitizer this summer. So bring lotion for yourself so you can replenish the moisture in your skin.
Can I ask a quick question? In the past, obviously the past is so past now, but if a middle schooler in my class needed to go to the restroom, I would let them go. I always tried to have kids go in pairs at PSU. So my question is, when it comes to middle schoolers, do you still want the protocol to be go as a group, maybe line up against the wall? I'm just trying to figure out a clear way when some of the kids maybe don't have to go. I don't know.
That's a good question, Karen. And Karen, you're going to be at Lake Oswego, right?
Right.
So like I said, Lake Oswego is very fluid currently, and they're planning for 6th through 8th grade and up. So that would be something we probably just have to ask when it's closer to the class start, or that's something we're going to confirm on Monday when the class start happens, so that you're aware and then you can inform your kids on what the procedure is going to be.
Because in a simple way, it might be easier for them to go 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 when it's middle school. That's kind of why I asked. I thought, and they love to be treated a little, older than younger kids. So I don't know. Stephanie, can you comment on the way that they did middle school kid bathroom protocol in regular school
During COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. So I've been in Portland Public School District, Reynolds, and David Douglas. So really in Multnomah, like, where all the cases have been and everything. It's been pretty much the same. So you have to like one school might have, you take a sheet of paper and that you sign and then put it in, because they have to track who's been in the bathroom in case they get COVID. Some schools have like another way of tracking by I saw one with they used to notify if anyone else is in the bathroom for maybe that pod or quad, so no one else goes in there. They have like some kind of sign or like a clip that they use to show that someone is in the bathroom. And it's been the same for both upper elementary and middle school. All of that's been the same. And really, they haven't let anybody go in groups or pairs at all.
And even pre-COVID, that was the case for many school sites. Is it was one-on-one just to prevent
Yes,
weird things and bullying and all of
definitely.
that.
Yeah, definitely for middle school, they did that. But now they're like really like, oh gosh, one of the schools I work at, they have to like sign in and out whenever they leave a classroom. And so do the teachers. Like they have a QR code. So I would assume that they would be doing the same thing for summer.
So we'll have to check with each school district, and they might be a little different for each site. And so,
yes, each district has been different. And like I said, I've only been in 3, but they've all had their own little ways of doing it.
And I'm guessing for the open school site too, you'll have your camp assistant who could also be in the hallway keeping an eye on
that. That would be nice.
Thanks, Stephanie. It's nice to have your expertise.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other COVID things before we move on? We'll have time for questions also at the end too, so. All right, so let's talk a little bit about instructor dashboards, handbooks, and supplies. So the instructor handbook is always a good place to find answers to commonly asked questions, and is now linked to the new instructor resource page on our website. So the link is here, and it will come to you in these slides, and then I'll also put it in another follow-up email, so you guys will have that link and that information. Oh, and I guess my order is out of order. So the first part of this was actually to check your instructor dashboards. You will see your classes that you are scheduled to teach this summer. So anything at Open School is open enrollment, so you'll be able to monitor your enrollment as it happens. Gladstone, Lake Oswego, and Forest Grove are in charge of their own registration because those classes are only open to students in those districts. So your class should still be visible to you. And if it's in there, you're teaching it and it's running. But you may not see your class list as it evolves as you would if it was an open enrollment class. So we will do our very best to keep you informed on enrollment. And then we'll make sure you guys have rosters. They're provided by the school or provided by us for that first day. Supply requests for summer should be placed 30 days before your class start. And for some of you, that's probably coming up pretty soon. I know a lot of you have been in touch with Eric, and Eric's also reached out. If you've not done either, Eric is our operations director and will be heading supplies and supply requests and supply delivery this summer. So I've included his email here. And if you ever have supply questions, you can email Eric, or you can even ask me and I can get that answer for you.
Does that include coffees, Sandy? I'm sorry, I thought I could throw
coffee?
that in there. No,
I think
that would be great.
okay.
Coffee. No,
Coffee.
I said coffees.
Okay, I thought you said coffee. It's like, no, Karen, I think you're going to be in charge of your own coffee.
That's hilarious. But the assistant,
And Karen,
could go get me coffee. I'm kidding.
I can jump in for that, Sandy. So if you're going to have a lot of copies, it's cheaper for us to do it at the office. All of your supplies will be brought to the site this year, which is really nice because we have fewer sites and can do that. If you're like last minute, less than 2 weeks to your class start, and you're like, I got to do this, go ahead to a print shop and send your receipt to Sandy.
Well, Could I come to the office to do the copying? I mean, is there
It'll
anybody there?
depend. We're not going to be there every day. So
Okay,
you'd have to work with Eric on that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That was a good question. And to that question, instructors, you also have a supply budget for incidentals that was listed in class confirmations. So that can range anywhere from 25 to 75, or maybe some classes might have more. But save your receipts and you can submit them for reimbursement up to the amount that's listed. And if you're not sure what that amount is, let me know and I can get that information to you.
I'm sorry, did you say we can be reimbursed? So like if we go copy it somewhere, we can still get reimbursed?
Yes.
Yes, within the supply allowance that you've agreed to with Sandy previously.
Okay.
Don't go above that, but yeah. Or if you need to check in first.
All right. My screen says there are 2 participants with raised hands, but I don't know who they are.
Angela.
Hi, yeah, I have a question. I'm in my dashboard right now for Moodle, and I only see my previous courses in here. I don't see any new courses. Is that what you were saying? We should see them here already?
So it won't be in what you logged into last year for Moodle. It's going to be in your instructor dashboard that you access through the Saturday Academy website.
Okay, so we're not going to use Moodle anymore?
No.
Yay! I mean, that's okay. I can use it. Okay,
So
thanks for that
online
clarification.
classes, Rachel will cover this in the online training. We're going to be using Zoom and
oh,
yeah. So no more Moodle.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
All right. Any other questions? It's weird. I can't see you. So now I understand what like my daughter's teachers are saying when they can't see people in their classes. And then I can't forget Walter, who is our loyal IT and tech specialist. So if you have IT and tech needs or software that you need for your class, I know Walter has reached out to a lot of you already, but if he has not, or if you haven't heard from him, you can reach out to Walter, and his email is also here. And down at the bottom, obviously our current instructor page is also a good place for resources too. All right, summer support. So this is kind of who we are and what we're going to cover. So for me, hopefully we have all our planning and scheduling taken care of, but if you have content questions, pay rates, evaluations, student support, anything like that, please reach out to me. Like I said, Eric is going to be your go-to for supplies, supply reimbursement. And if you have any like site logistic questions, he may know them more than me, but I'm also available for that as well. Walter is our IT support, and then Rachel is available for program-wide questions and concerns. You guys will also have summer camp assistants. I'm not sure who's going to be where, when, but you'll meet them. And then there's also going to be school site contacts as well. So you guys should be very well supported throughout the summer, and we want to make sure that that happens so you are happy and comfortable and enjoy your summer. Angela, do you have another question?
Yes, I do. Is the minimum for the class, like the base minimum of how many students have to be signed up for a class, is that different now? And if it is, what is the number and when do we have to have that amount of students signed up by?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, so normally we operate at a max capacity of 12. So our teacher to student ratio is 1 to 12. At some sites, we may have classes that have a higher ratio than that, but if we do, you will have extra adult support.
So I think
I'm not sure if that's probably not what you're asking.
So on the other side, on the minimum, if a class is going to cancel, we still have we're going for a 5 students to just cover the basic costs of the class. We will be in touch with you. So definitely now is a great time to be posting on your networks. We're proud of the work you do. Let your networks know that you're teaching. So we'll be back to I know we were on like last summer was like a week or like 3 days even. We were trying to give students as much time to find your class. We'll be in touch 2 weeks in ahead of the class start.
That answers everything. Yes, thank you both.
Awesome.
But if it's still on your dashboard, it's still running. So
Fantastic.
we'll be in touch with you, but sometimes it might be 4 or 6. And yeah, if it's on your dashboard, it's running, and get in touch with us.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
You guys are asking fantastic questions. Anything else? All right.
Sorry, Sandy. Are we going to be able, if I need to bring in supplies for a class, would we be able to leave those on site?
Yes, you should be able to leave your supplies on site in a safe place where it will not be disturbed until you come back the next day.
Wahoo.
I have to underline that because that has not been the case in the past. Very exciting. All schools this summer are going to let you leave your stuff in the classroom. It'll be locked. Caroline has lost things to, yeah. So it's big.
Can you say anything about the computers that you guys are going to bring and where they'll be left, and or should I ask that another day?
So we have mobile laptops. They'll be brought in before your class, and will be kind of I'm imagining them preset up at the desks with the distances. And you can leave them, just shut them down, power them off, plug them in, and leave them overnight. No schlepping with that travel case that was 50 pounds.
All right. I probably won't normally say this, but don't come to work if you have any of these primary symptoms of COVID-19. If you have a new cough, if you have a fever of 104 degrees or higher along with chills, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, new loss of taste or smell. If this should happen to you, please call me as soon as possible and we will arrange a emergency plan. Or if you're sick from another illness, or if any emergency arises that would cause you not be able to teach, please call me as soon as possible. Other than that, please come to work every day. So.
And especially for the school sites, the kids are going to be there. We have to have something happen. And so Sandy and we have kind of a substitute. The camp assistants will also be asked to create some lesson plans if they need to step in, but we can't just cancel and reschedule the class this summer.
Yes, and the kids are going to love you guys and not necessarily us. So please come to work if you're not sick with COVID or anything else. So, and then just some concluding thoughts from me. So like I said before, everybody is just really coming into this summer with their own trauma and experience with COVID, and everybody's experience is different. So I really just want everybody to approach this summer with empathy, flexibility, and an equity mindset. So things just in the planning stages have been changing weekly almost for me. And I feel like it's just being flexible is going to be kind of the key to getting through the summer. And just to have us strive to build community in the classroom on a daily basis, and make sure all the kids are feeling seen, heard, and valued. So if your kids don't learn how to program something, or, can't tell an invertebrate from a vertebrate, well, hopefully they know that. But I just really want them to have just that awesome camp experience this summer. And having everybody back in person is just going to be a really special experience. So hold students at the center of your planning and activities. And as always, please take care of yourselves as well. And then that's it for me talking, which you're probably like, thank goodness. And now I'm gonna turn this back over for questions, Rachel.
And just to kind of add to that, so this presentation tonight, we're really focusing on the physical logistics, you know, the spacing and what it's going to look like, and the scheduling, and starting to wrap your heads around showing up in a physical space on the, is it the 10th?
Yes.
We will have a chance to meet with one of our Sunsite managers, Ellie Cannon, who will be leading us through a trauma-informed education, and we'll get more into the social emotional learning aspects of what the summer could look like, and not even just the summer, life in general. So I'm really excited to be able to offer that for everybody. Questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So for those of us who are vaccinated, my like calling in sick, I very rarely ever did it before COVID. Like if I have a cold, so I'm just asking because I heard that colds and stuff might be on the rise because everyone's been masked and like not going out. So like they're thinking that people are going to start catching colds and all that. I'm like fine with coming to work with a cold, and I know which things I shouldn't come to work with. Like I have a tendency to get strep throat. I know that I need to call for that. But as far as like, you know, a cold, being stuffed up and maybe coughing a little bit, that should be okay for me to come in. If I'm vaccinated, yes.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question. I know a lot of us have allergies, so you know we might be sneezy, we might be coughing, and I think it's just, you know, what is our ability to tell the difference between COVID and allergies, or if we have the sniffles.
I would say if there's any doubt,
yeah,
don't come in, get tested, take a day.
Even
But if you have a, I just also perception, we're dealing, you know, with families and students, and you're blowing your nose the whole time.
All right.
I don't know. That's my, if there's any doubt, if you really are just like it's a cold, and you can back that up. And maybe between now and a month, we're going to hear more guidance around that. So we'll definitely be paying attention. I think that's a really good question, and kind of a challenging one.
I'm just one of those people that if it's there to catch, I'm going to catch it.
Oh, no.
No, and I think, you know, like you said, we've all been kind of isolated lately. And so when we all get back together, yes, there's going to be some germs out there, but we're all wearing masks and we have so much hand sanitizer. Hopefully that will be helpful.
Just don't drink it.
The hand sanitizer?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
No, just put it on your hands.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask if you've had students drink hand sanitizer.
That's an earlier reference.
I haven't had any students do that.
I have a question that doesn't have to do with that, but can I ask it?
Mm-hmm. Please do. This is your time.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm doing the Lake Oswego schools, and it's from 12 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So do I get there at 11:30? Like, is that part of the lunchtime for them? Or it's 2 different sections, isn't it, Sandy? Like there's morning and afternoon, or I'm just, I
feel, and like I said, things there are fluid, and I'm quoting, I'm quoting from people that have emailed me from the higher power in Lake Oswego. So for elementary school, yes, in the morning, there will be like reading, writing, math, catch up type classes that are going on. In the afternoon is enrichment. I don't know what's happening for grade 6 and up. So they don't know what's happening for grades 6 and up, but when they know, I'll know, and then you'll know.
Snap.
Okay.
Not looking good for the Blazers, everybody. I'm very sorry.
Could have been there.
Yeah. Man, they were ahead the entire game too. Oh well. Well, that's sad, but
Been there, done
teaching and
that.
purpose is hopeful.
It's hopeful. So I like the way Angela's raising your hand. You can just unmute Angela and
That was really slick. I like how you demonstrated that redirection. Okay, so my question is, for these summer classes, these summer camps, I am specifically designing them, their photography, and we're out and about. So I'm being very intentional about not being in the classroom a lot. Plus, the kids never like to spend too much time indoors in the summers, it seems like, in the camps. So I usually, depending on the grade level, they have their partner or their group, and we have a vicinity, and then we wander out. Now, the mask mandate for these students when they're outside making photos, what is that going to be like? It is difficult to make pictures with your mask on. It fogs up the viewfinder. So I take my mask off when, I mean, I'm vaccinated and such, and I'm not around people. So I'm kind of curious to know what would be a good way to navigate that and what the thoughts are on that.
Also a really good question. I think as long as your kids are 6 feet apart, I mean, if we talk about like eating, they have to be 6 feet apart. If they're 6 feet apart and their mask is off to take a picture and then it's back on. Yeah, like Rachel said, these are kind of really hard things to navigate. I know, like, just for my daughter in school, when they're on campus, the mask is on. When they're off campus, they're off campus. So
That's kind of what I was hoping.
yeah.
And just, yeah. Okay.
But I mean, I think, you know, if we're in a close space, if they're close together, they really do have to have that mask on. You know, if somebody is 6 feet apart and they need to take their mask off to take their picture and they put their mask back on, I feel like still doing what we can to keep everybody safe is my take on that. Rachel, do you have any other take on that?
that makes sense to me. I think we're mask as much as possible. Ellen, do you have, as a photographer as well, how has it worked for you?
I haven't done any in-person classes yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's similar to eating and drinking, right? We're gonna have to take it off, and so yeah, just trying to be 6 feet apart when that happens. We got.
But I mean, their cameras don't have to be up here; they can be out here with the viewfinder. So
I do not teach it like that. I'm a film photographer, so.
No,
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, you're way more focused, you know, when it's right here. No question.
All right. Were there other questions? Allison.
Thanks. I had two questions. One is maybe not applicable to my class, but I was hearing, you know, about like these different nature classes. So does that mean that classes will be allowed to go outside, like leave their classroom as to do lessons outside if they want? I don't know if open school has any outdoor spaces, but I'd be interested in doing that maybe one day if there is.
They do have outdoor spaces. It's not a huge outdoor space, but there is. And we could make arrangements for maybe how that might work, working around other classes that are at open school. We will be sharing space with the Boys and Girls Club that's next door, but they don't come till the afternoon. So I feel like it would be really possible to arrange some outdoor things and activities, especially in the morning hours, like when it's a little cooler.
Okay. And then my other question is, now that I'm realizing that I'm late on my supply list, which I don't have made yet, I'm wondering, Sandy, if you are working tomorrow and we could, if I can email you and if you'd be available.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Stacy, you've been waiting for a while.
Thanks. Some of my questions have already been answered just with, especially for summer classes, I like to do little mini field trips where we walk around and we're, doing different kinds of writing, observation, things like that, which sounds like I'll be able to do. Students won't need to take masks off for that. We'll just be like walking around. I'll have to kind of scope out each of these sites to see like what outdoor areas there might be that we can kind of just roam around in.
Stacy, you're at John Wetton in Gladstone, right?
Yes. Yeah. And at open
they're
school.
right next to a park. So you
Oh,
have
great.
it's huge. So yeah, definitely wide open space there.
Great. And then my other question, there's an exercise I like to do with using the 5 senses where I take advantage of the summer berries and I'll bring in like strawberries for kids to like observe. And then we eventually taste them after we've done touch and sight and all the other senses. If I like wore gloves and distributed one to each student and they were, still 6 feet apart, would we be able to do an exercise like that? And I could also do it outside if that seems safer. I mean, I don't have to, but I've had a lot of students really have enjoyed doing some exercises like that when I've done some classes in the past.
So on everybody's dashboard, there's a little thing that has it's like student details or something where you can see special needs. Be sure and just check that for allergies and things. And then I think you would want to mention that to camp assistants in the morning.
Okay.
And check with families again. Not so much for, I wouldn't worry so much about COVID, but just for allergies and things. The kid might be like, yeah, I love strawberries. And then it doesn't work.
Yeah. I've generally checked for allergies in the past when I've done it. I'm just thinking about COVID in addition. So, okay.
As long as they're not sharing a big pot of berries, I think we'll be okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Iris, did you have a question?
Hi, yeah, this is similar to Angela's question, but for filmmaking, I'm wondering if it's okay for actors to take their masks off while they're being filmed, or do we just need to incorporate the masks into all the stories that we're telling?
I think that's going to depend again on like how far apart everybody is.
Yeah, so like you guys were saying, like just as long as they're 6 feet apart, maybe ideally if we're outside, then the actors could have their mask off while we're filming them, and then when people are closer together, making sure the masks are on.
And then that's something we can check because you're at Forest Grove, and we could kind of check with what their social distancing guidelines are, since they're in person right now. So I know a lot of elementary schools and middle school and high schools operate with a 3 foot 3 feet apart distance. So that's something we'll have to check with the school district just to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Did that answer your question?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I know it's hard to tell like what the specific guidelines are going to be when it comes, and but so basically just like try to have masks on as much as possible.
I would say it's probably the best. Yeah, that would probably be the best guideline for us to follow currently as we're planning our classes. So.
Sure. Okay.
So at PPS, we were taking pictures today outside without masks, and that was okay.
And then were you guys 6 feet apart?
Away. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like as long as, and again, this is just for Portland Public, as long as they were far enough apart, they could have their masks off for picture taking. So I don't know if that.
Each site will have each site will have a site supervisor. So there'll be someone at Open School East, and Sandy will be that person for the first 2 weeks, and then Katie after that, a new Katie. And then at the schools, there will also be teachers who are there, and there'll be a site person. So I think everything will just need to be coordinated and over communicate.
So, and like I said, as I find out this information more specifically for each school district, I can definitely relay that back to you guys as well. So we will do our best to keep everybody informed, if not over-informed, about what's going on.
I need that info too. Probably everybody does.
Everybody
but
does. Yeah. I'll make,
I have the same, the same issue with, you know that,
Mhm.
wanting kids to be able to be a little closer. Thanks.
Just
All right.
a side note, it's been pretty exciting to have the importance of summer learning and enrichment being recognized. We've had requests from almost every school district, and there's a shortage of summer programs and instructors this summer. So thank you, huge thank you for being willing to do this summer and go in person. Kids really, really need this. And it's my hope, and there's likely going to be funding for future summers through the school districts. So it's pretty exciting. And many school districts have not had summer programming. Ooh, did I freeze?
No, I'm sorry. I just stopped sharing my
Okay.
screen so I can see everybody.
So they're just figuring it out, and we've been meeting with superintendents and sharing our knowledge as best we can about how to get organized. But that's so a lot of this sort of they only got started in April, so it's been a push to get this organized. So again, thank you for teaching and thank you for your patience.